How you doing, guys? This is Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. I've done videos before about how I don't think we're likely to encounter a massive, like a grid down, shit hit the fan, Mad Max type scenario. And that's very good. I don't think it's a very likely scenario. And for that reason and others, I don't think barter, a direct barter for goods and services is something that we're likely to have to rely on extensively. And I don't think it's something that's as effective or useful as a lot of people kind of think it is in real world, especially disaster type situations. I have a video on that I'll link in the description below, basically due to the infrastructure that's required for barter, the communication, and just the exact right set of circumstances that you need to link up for a successful barter trade is rare even in normal situations, and it's going to be especially problematic in a shit hit the fan scenario, certainly when security is also of the utmost importance. And for that reason, I don't think barter is actually going to be used very much under almost any circumstances, but it still is possible and still could be used in certain situations. So with that being said, it's useful to try and to plan a little bit ahead if you think you're going to be doing any sort of bartering, or at least think about the types of things that you should and shouldn't do. And this video is about some of the things that you shouldn't do, specifically some of the items that I don't think you should barter with in a shit hit the fan or disaster situation. And I'll do a video later on the types of items I think you should or could barter with. So first of all, I'll get right into it, and one of the items is ammunition. Now, ammunition is kind of counterintuitive because a lot of people think it's something that everyone will want very badly, but the whole point of this video is that the things that people desperately want and need are probably not the things that you should be planning on trying to trade with. You want to probably try to trade with luxury, comfort type items that they want, and hold on to the items that are super valuable and that people are likely to be incredibly desperate for. One of those being ammunition, especially because ammunition could actually be used in an offensive capability against you or other people. If you're imagining this sort of disaster scenario, which is luckily very unlikely, but it could happen, where you're having to trade for stuff like this and you give someone ammo, they could do God knows what with it. You don't really want to be arming people who now know that you have supplies and materials, possibly know where you live, things like that. It could just be a bad situation overall. So I don't recommend getting rid of any ammunition, especially because if there is a scenario where ammo is that valuable and that sought after, why on earth would you give any of it away? Unless it was for a caliber that maybe you couldn't use anymore, maybe the gun broke or whatever, but you would probably want to hang on to that as much as possible. Another item would be something like cigarettes, medicine, or drugs that are highly addictive or super necessary for someone to survive, because you really don't want to have to be dealing with desperate people in a scenario where they could, where maybe there's a breakdown of rule of law, or just any scenario where they may decide that they want to come after you and they have nothing to lose, because if they need an antibiotic for a family member or some sort of substance that they're highly addicted to. Not to mention, there's no point in keeping substances that you're not going to be using and just hoping to trade with them. If you're going to be spending resources and money on storing something, might as well make it something that you use and can also potentially be traded, not just something that you think you might be able to trade but are never going to use otherwise. So if you're a smoker, then you could store them for yourself, I guess, but I wouldn't plan on storing them for other people. Another one would be food. And again, this goes back to the principle I just mentioned of it seems counterintuitive, but the items that people would be most desperate to get are probably not the ones that you want to count on trading with them for a variety of reasons, security being the most important, and also because if it's that valuable, you just want to hang on to it yourself. So basic food staple items, I would not plan on using for trade or barter. Something like sweets or candy or something, maybe gum that was just like a treat, that's something different. But food staples, you don't want to be known as a source of extra food, and you certainly don't want to be giving any away in a situation where it's that valuable to begin with. So basically the principle to remember here is you want to be trading for necessities with comfort items and luxury items, and not be getting rid of your basic necessities for anything else. Because if you're in that type of situation, even security issues aside, which would be a huge deal, but even if you're ignoring security issues, you don't really want to be getting rid of these basic necessities in a trading transaction. So it's just something to think about. Once again, I don't think this scenario where you would have to engage in any sort of barter like that is very likely, and that's a good thing, but it is possible, so it's worth thinking about. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll talk to you later.